So in order to capture the essence of the volunteer program over this last year, I want to talk a little bit about what I've witnessed and the effect that it's had on me. I know that a person's community undoubtedly influences their larger view of the world, and I'm fortunate to say that CCH volunteers have really shed a lot of positive light on my view. And it's really become clear that a truly connected community isn't out of reach, but it's a reality right here in our own area. And that truth stems from individuals like you, the ones who are willing to give up your time or your desires in the name of helping someone else. So for you all to really understand the generosity that I've seen from this group of volunteers, I want to tell you a few specific stories. So when a patient is close to passing away at CCH, they often request that a volunteer comes to sit with them, whether it's through hospice or through our Abider program. And sometimes the volunteer will pray with the patients, and sometimes they will just offer companionship. And most of the time, those requests come unexpectedly and urgently for hospice patients, and I'm sure Chappie Bob can attest to the fact that they come just as quickly for Abiders. Essentially, all other priorities are pushed aside, and the main goal is finding someone who's ready to give up whatever they had planned for that day. When I first started in this position, I honestly wondered if that was going to be possible. I was sure that I was going to get no after no, but that was the opposite of what happened. I would call one or two people, and I always had someone willing. And they were willing not only to give up their time, but to sit with a total stranger in the most pivotal and likely most daunting time of their life. And that level of empathy and emotional strength required to do that time and again is absolutely astounding to me. But it's a quality that I've seen across the whole of our volunteer program. Another quality that seems limitless in our volunteers is dedication and the willingness to go above and beyond the call of duty. This became really clear to me last winter when I came to the realization that a lot of my gift shop volunteers, not employees, and info desk volunteers traveled extensively, and a few even moved south during the winter. I was still learning the ropes at that point, and I was desperately in need of filling some of those spots at the drop of a hat. One particular shift was a 4-hour shift in the gift shop, and it was going to be open from December to March. So that essentially meant I was going to need to fill 4 empty spots every month for 4 months. But one day in December, without me even asking, one of my extremely dedicated gift shop volunteers called me out of the blue and offered to take the shift. I clarified because I thought she only wanted to take the month of December. But she said no, she wanted to take the shift for the entire 4 months. And as you can imagine, that shocked me because it was not something that I asked of her, and it was not something that I would ask of any of my volunteers. But she really didn't seem to bat an eye, and it honestly seemed like something she did all the time. And she's really not the only one that's exhibited this type of dedication. I've called countless volunteers on short notice hoping to enlist them for some event or task or project or another, and most of them have not thought twice before giving me an enthusiastic yes. What I've also witnessed in our volunteers is how truly and genuinely they care for patients. Pioneer Manor volunteers are specifically a great example of this. A lot of them, and I mean a lot, are at the facility every single day. It's been incorporated in their routine, and they cannot walk down the hallways without seeing a friendly face. Pioneer Manor volunteers, as well as many volunteers throughout our organization, serve as a support network and a social outlet for many residents and patients. And in turn, those volunteers consider those people to be their friends. Just last month, I had the pleasure of watching Pioneer Manor volunteers help at bingo. And it really was such a bright spot in my day because I could tell that they were doing whatever they could to bring happiness to those residents. And I could also tell that it was not a chore for them. They were enjoying it just as much as the patients were. So what I've witnessed in all of our CCH volunteers across the board is that to them, volunteering isn't just a job or an hour that they write on a piece of paper to get credit. It's an expression of how much they care for and respect the patients, visitors, and residents of CCH. And those really are the types of people that any volunteer program should strive to have and would be lucky to have. Because the second it becomes just a job or just an hour is the second that the magic of volunteerism is gone. So of course those are only a few examples, but what's more important than individual experiences is the community that those acts create. They create a community of kindness, understanding, and selflessness. They create a community where we take care of each other and we find compassion within ourselves instead of aggression or selfishness. They perpetuate the act of giving no matter what they receive in return. And I've truly been lucky to witness this kind of altruism during my time as the CCH Volunteer Coordinator. And I hope every volunteer here today feels a sense of pride about what you bring to CCH and our community. Thank you all so much for being here today. And we would like to do the April Appreciation Certificates now. So if I could have Marla Russell, Maureen Hurley, and Chappie Bob come up here. And if I could also have our hospital board trustee members and then the leadership that I announced earlier. And we're gonna